Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here and for continuing to listen to my ascension story. So, when I left off, I had started online dating and I had met two different guys. And for some reason, there was some kind of divine intervention with a snowstorm, and I didn't end up um, going to see the first guy. And I really, like I always say, look for signs and synchronicities, things that happen that kind of, you can't say it was just a coincidence that, like in my case, a snowstorm happened and I couldn't meet the first guy. Like I look at that as a sign from the universe saying, that's not the right one. So anyway, with the second guy, I we made arrangements to meet um, outside of Portland on Saturday around 3 o'clock, I think it was. So he says, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, we can just go into Portland, get something to eat, walk around. It was pretty cold. It was supposed to snow that night also. So I figured, okay, I'll just go in Portland, go back home and call it a night um, because it's supposed to snow. I had the gym that I went to, he used to work in that area, so he knew what gym I was talking about. And he so we agreed to meet at the gym and then, go from there as like our starting point. And he had sent me a bunch of restaurants and said, pick out which one you want to go to. And he showed up on time and everything. And when he pulled up alongside of my car, he kind of looked at me like strangely. And I was like, oh, okay, is this guy like legit? Like he's gonna do something to me, like. And I feel things, so I usually can pick up on energy pretty well. So I walked around and he said, let's just go in one car. So I was like, fine. And I felt it was a good energy with him. Got in his truck and we ended up going to this one restaurant. And I thought that was going to be like it. We were going to eat there. And I don't think he ordered anything. I think we had just got like a drink. And then I had ordered something thinking that was going to be like our meal there. And he says, no, we're going to still go out to dinner. I said, oh, so I felt so bad that like I had ordered like a decent thing. And he's like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, I'm not used to this. And so I ate a little bit because I felt weird, like eating in front of him, like the first time I ever met him. And then all of a sudden he says to me after talking for a little bit, he said, you're a good soul. And I was like really surprised that he said something like that. Like, like he could tell right off that there was something in it. There's like little things like that that people say, and you're like, something's there. So we ended up leaving there. And he's like, well, where else do you want to go to eat for dinner? I'm like, wow, that was just appetizer. I've never had that before. Um, so the thing was too, since the guy that I had helped me through my circumstances in New York, he wasn't big on like going out to eat or anything. He would he did provide food for me and stuff like that, but he was not one to like go and get a fancy meal or anything. And the guy I had dated that I thought I was going to end up marrying back in 2021, he had taken me out to a really, really nice restaurant like one time. So it had been really few and far between since I've had like a really nice meal, date, night type of thing. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm telling you all my business here, but this is the reason why I'm here. So we left there. It had, since it had snowed Thursday, it had kind of iced up and it was getting colder as the evening was going by. So I ended up kind of holding on to him, and so I wouldn't slip. And we got back in his truck, and then he says, "Well, where do you want to eat?" And I didn't want to like like an expensive place. So I said, "Well, you want to do like Olive Garden or something?" And so we went to Olive Garden. And while we were there, I'm gonna say elderly. I guess they were probably in their late 60s, early 70s, because I'm almost there. Came and sat table across from us. And, our meal comes and their meal comes. And then all of a sudden, the gentleman starts choking like he has something lodged in his throat. And I was like, I had never been in that situation before. And I have to come up with a name for him. Because I would like to use that consistently. And I have a name for him. I don't know why Walter is coming to me. He's not a Walter at all. But anyway, we'll call him Walter. That's like, I don't know where that name came from. So anyway, Walter jumps up, gets the guy, and does the Heimlich on him. And just, and the guy, like, it comes up. And the wife and me are both like, oh my goodness. So the guy was like sat back down and he was still kind of coughing and everything. And um, like I was sitting there like frozen. Like I had got up, like if he needed help or whatever, but I was like frozen. But Walter just like got right up and did it. And the wife was like, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Thank you so much." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, this is like a really good guy." And like, I think he was even like surprised because he's like, that's never happened to me. Like, and I'm like, there's something here. There's something going on here. Like, that's never happened to me. That's never happened to him. This couple comes and sits next to us. All of a sudden, the guy's choking. And one of the signs of a divine partner, too, is that person will be healing, a healer like yourself. And I'm like, but I'm like, between the snowstorm stopping this other guy, and then all of a sudden seeing these other signs, and then my beautician having kind of pointed out this particular time to say, oh, why don't you go online and try, dating? And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do it. She goes, oh, I'll just try it. I'm like, there's too many things going on here that's kind of pointing me to this person. So anyway, we end up leaving, and I figure he's going to take me back to my car and, go home. And he's like, well, what else do you want to do? Okay, in Portland, like you can stay and drink in a tavern and I don't know, you go to a lounge. I don't know. There's not too many other things. During the day, there's a lot to do, but in the evening, unless you go to see a show or some kind of concert or something like that, there's not a whole lot of spare the moment things to do. So I said to him, I'm like, oh, I just like applied for this apartment. I said, let's go take a ride and I'll show you where it's at. So we rode over to where I was hoping my new building would be. And like I was so excited when I saw it again. And he's like, so then after we left there, he's like, well, where to now? And I'm like, no. And I knew I didn't want to. I was having such a nice time with him. I didn't want to go back to the house. And like it's so weird how you enjoy time with someone and they can change your whole outlook on a situation. And then like just dreading going back to that house. It's like every day I would come home from work and just a couple blocks before I would get to the house, I was constantly saying like, Spirit, please protect me. Spirit, please protect me. Because I didn't know what I was going to come up against once I entered that house with Kate there. And like I would ride up to the house and I wouldn't see her car and I would just be so thankful. Just like just get myself in the room, go take my shower, and then kind of lock myself in the room for like the rest of the evening. I felt like a prisoner that I couldn't be free within that house because as soon as I would come out, it's like try anything to try to like just push buttons, you know? So anyway, he's like, well, I really have to let my dogs out. He's like, do you want to take a ride up to me with me to my place? I'm like, hey, no big deal. Like, you're gonna ride me all the way back down. And he's like, yeah, because he lived more north. So the strange thing too was for the weeks leading up to that, I'm gonna say for 4 or 5 weeks before meeting him, something kept drawing me to the town where he lived. And as I said, I would go out different places, to different state parks and just explore like on the weekends and stuff. And look at the map and say, oh, let me just go here and just see what this town is about. And something kept pulling me to his town. And, but I was like, I'm not riding up there this weekend. And it was like the weirdest thing. Every weekend, something kept pulling me. And not to say that the universe may have been directing me to go up there and maybe bump into him or something. And they say, okay, she's not doing it. We got to find a different way. So now they bring my beautician into the mix and she says, oh, why don't you go on this dating app? Anyway, we ended up riding up to his house and beautiful ride. And our conversation was just so easy. And I had two little dogs. So he let them out. And we just kind of relaxed and he had a fireplace. And I'm like, okay, you're gonna drive me all the way back. And he's like, well, you could just stay here. And I'm like, no. But it was like also a thing between getting a break from going back home and having to deal with Kate's energy. So I ended up staying over. Nothing happened, if you're wondering. And he says, I got an extra bedroom and stuff. Nothing happened. But it was just so nice to be away from that energy for just the evening. Next day, he made breakfast for me, and I was like, wow, I haven't had this in a really long time. And then he drove me back to my car. It had snowed overnight, so he got out and he helped me clean off my car and everything. And that was the start of something I thought was going to be a really, really beautiful thing. And I'll tell you more in the next one. So, thank you again for being here. I appreciate you guys. And please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.